this is a Homestuck story, so you know it's going to be good. Let's start. Ridiculously perverted Homestuck cosplayers. Last month, two of my friends and I were able to go to our first Comic-Con! Exclamation point. One of us was dressed as Lady Gambit, and my sister and I were dressed as Carcat, Kit Kat, and Terezi. I don't know how to say like their names. Terezi. We're pretty big fans of Homestuck, and we were really excited to finally cosplay from it. We had ran into Homestucks, okay, I guess like Homestuck fans. We ran into Homestuck fans at a different con before. How can one not? And they were all really sweet and nice. This time, however, was a different story. The first half of the first day was awesome. We met a lot of amazing cosplayers, bought a lot of cool merchandise, made some jokes, and had a blast. By the first half of the day, we were getting a little tired of wandering around the merchandise hall, so we decided we should take a break. Over in a corner of the convention center, there was a large cluster of empty couches, surrounded by a huge group of loud, hyper Homestuck cosplayers. Oh no. They were running and shouting and screaming. They looked like a group of elementary school children at recess. That is a terrible sign. Oh my god. This was fine, of course, and it's okay to mess around and cosplay, but there was a chocolate convention going on next to the cosplay convention. I don't know what that is. And it's never good to be loud and hyper when there are normal people around. But the real crazy part began when Gamzee shows up. I don't know what Gamzee is. I don't see. Oh, he looks fucking ugly. This Gamzee cosplayer honestly scared me half to death. They were long and lanky, with a skeletal-like body structure. Their face was gaunt and thin, with pursued, irritated lips and the eyes of a psychopathic killer who wants to wear your skin. Wow! They had no wig, only frizzy hair looked like it had been either washed or brushed for months. They had paper mache horns, which had both broken by the time they arrived, on a headband. Thank God they weren't super glued, right? Which created a dent in the frizzy afro they were sporting. Or they were sporting. They were wearing grease makeup on their face, and it smudged on their shirt. And stained their hands. Is he fucking Pennywise? I didn't notice it until they turned around, but they also had a large pale bald spot near the top of their head. Though I wished it wasn't. The image of that shining bright patch of skin dancing underneath a pair of paper mache horns is burned into my mind. To this day, I am still perplexed about how old that cosplayer really was. But his looks weren't the most unsettling part. It was his voice. I've heard many Gamzee cosplayers imitating a Smoka or Stona voice. This Gamzee sounded somewhat Firefly from The Princess and the Frog, or one of those swamp men on the Discovery Channel. He would loudly yell, oh god, I'm gonna butcher this, a wee 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 motherfuck my horns. God, that was terrible, but never again. In a loud, bone-chilling, gravely voice. This Gamzee was not only scary, but also very touchy-feely. Numerous times, I saw him touch cosplayers in places that I'm not sure they wanted to be touched in the first place. He groped a Miku on the breast. Oh no. She slapped him away, but laughed it off. He also got uncomfortably close to a Arania cosplayer we met, as well as tackling down a few cosplayers in an attempt to be sober Gamzee. After about 30 minutes of watching this horror show, we left and continued wandering the convention. By the end of the day, we were again drawn to that group by some external force of fate. We sat down on the same couch, watching them while discussing the con. The Homestuck fans had gotten so wild that a security guard showed up and had to keep an eye on them. He also had to confiscate their swords. There were Faygo bottles littering the floor along with cosplay props and purses. Near the end of the night, no one had picked up anything. My friends and I picked it up for them to avoid any convention authority drama. Nice. The whole night, they were running around the room with swords and other dangerous weapons and tugging on each other's costumes until they hit the floor roughly. At one point, a Jade cosplayer dropped face first onto the floor. I almost jumped up thinking she hurt herself for a good 10 seconds. I just saw no movement. I heard someone near the security guard yell, "Guys, Jade is dead!" The security guard looked up worried, confused as to if she was joking or not. Then, everyone dogpiled onto Jade. Literally everyone. It was probably well over 10 people on top of her. I swear, I saw the security guard facepalm. Jesus Christ, imagine all of that weight on just one little cosplayer. Holy shit. About 30 minutes later, a Solix cosplayer. I don't know who Solix is. Who is Solix? Oh. Looks like a dork. I don't even know if I can actually call them a Solix cosplayer. They look to be young, about 12 years old at most. They had no horns and no wig. Had their long dark hair braided into pigtails. They wore jeans and a puffy paint Solix shirt. They announced themselves loudly to the group, which got them a lot of positive attention. This Solix, though they seemed innocent, was the creepiest pervert I had ever seen. They kept touching people's horns, even going as far to jack them off. Oh. They also store an Iridon scarf. It's, this guy. He looks like Scott the Woz. They were gonna tie him up. They would say the raunchiest stuff about troll anatomy and buckets. And them and Gamzee got along really well. This pervert brought another pervert with them. And then we get to the worst part about this. Slave Dave, as he/she called themselves. I'm just gonna say they. Wore a blonde wig and a maid dress. Oh no. They had with them a bag of goodies, as they called them, which consisted of homemade writing crops, ball gags, chains, whips, and condoms. Oh. This person was loud, raunchy, and disgusting. At one part of the con, they blindfolded my friend who was cosplaying Dipper, chained his arms without permission, and whipped him on the leg with the writing cropped. We literally had to roughly pull Dipper out of Slave Dave's grip to get him/her to stop. After Dipper recovered from the incident, we checked out his leg. The Dave had literally left a large red welt where he had slapped him with the writing crop. We also saw the Slave Dave and their partner, it's hard to tell their gender, making out on the couch later on during that con. They were getting really close to actually having full-out sex on the couch in front of con security. Holy shit. After that, we didn't go anywhere near the Homestuck fandom, because we didn't want to encounter any more writing crops and whips. I'm honestly a little worried about cosplaying from Homestuck again, and I really hope the next convention I go to proves the fandom to be a little less sexual and a little more mature. Holy shit. Oh my god. I don't know who posted this. But I don't know who posted this. But whoever posted this, I am so sorry.